As soon as we met, we became friends. And that friendship never ended. We have never quarreled.
You know Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, but Bunny Wailer often gets left out of the conversation. Today, we are fixing that. Bunny Wailer was one of the founding members of the Wailers, a reggae icon in his own right, and a man who walked his own path both musically and spiritually. In this video, we are going to cover his life from Kingston streets to international stages, his solo career, and the reasons he stayed just a step away from mainstream fame. Stick around because this story has music, drama, and a little stubbornness that you will love. Early life and roots. Bunny Wailer was born Neville O'Reilly Livingston on April 10, 1947, in Kingston, Jamaica. Growing up in a neighborhood buzzing with music, he was surrounded by sounds that would later shape Reggae. Kingston in the late 1940s and 1950s was a mix of chaos and creativity. Street parties, local sound systems, and church music created the perfect environment for a future reggae legend. Bunny's early exposure to rhythm and melody was more than just background noise. It was a foundation, planting the seeds for what would become a lifelong passion for music. Bunny came from a family that valued music and culture. He had two older brothers, and while they weren't musicians themselves, they introduced him to the rhythms of Jamaica church music. Played a big role in his upbringing, especially gospel harmonies. Some say this early exposure to vocal layering helped him develop the smooth harmonies that would later define the Wailers' sound. Even as a kid, he had a voice that could carry emotion, which would become one of his defining traits as an artist. As a teenager, Bunny started experimenting with music. He didn't have fancy equipment or a formal music education, but he had determination and a love for rhythm. He was often seen practicing on improvised instruments and singing on street corners. Legend has it that he once tried to play cricket instead of music, but the rhythm of the game could not compete with the beat in his heart. Music pulled him back every time. It was clear even then that he had something special to offer. Bunny's early friendships would also shape his future. He met Bob Marley and Peter Tosh while still in school, and the three bonded over their shared love of music and social justice. Kingston streets were tough, but they offered the trio a sense of community and purpose. They shared dreams of performing on stages far beyond their neighborhood and bringing Jamaican music to the world. These early connections were not just friendships. They were the start of a creative partnership that would change reggae forever. Education for Bunny was typical of the time, though he often prioritized music over formal schooling. He was curious about the world and absorbed information from every source he could find. Reading, listening, and observing his surroundings gave him insight that would later influence his songwriting. Even in his youth, he seemed to understand the power of storytelling through music. Hymns were more than melodies. They were messages, lessons, and reflections of life in Kingston. By the late 1950s, Bunny Wailer was already developing the musical identity that would carry him through the Wailers and his solo career. His childhood and teenage years set the stage for a man who valued independence, spirituality, and authenticity. Bunny's early life was not without challenges, but those challenges shaped the discipline and resilience that defined his career. He learned to stand his ground, trust his instincts, and follow his rhythm, no matter where life took him. From the crowded streets of Kingston to the world stage, Bunny Wailer's story begins with a young boy whose love for music could not be contained. Even before fame, he had the heart of a legend and a voice ready to make history. The formation of the Wailers. Bunny Wailer, Bob Marley, and Peter Tosh didn't just meet by chance. They were destined to shake the music scene. Their first encounters took place in Kingston, Jamaica, during the early 1960s. The city was buzzing with sound systems, street dances, and a mix of musical influences from ska to R&B. For three young men with big dreams, it was the perfect backdrop. Bunny, with his smooth voice and grounded presence, complemented Marley's charisma and Tosh's fierce energy. Together, they had a chemistry that was hard to ignore. The trio officially formed the Wailers in 1963. Initially, they were called the Teenagers, but the name changed as their sound evolved. They began performing at local dances, parties, and talent shows, often traveling on foot or by public transport. Bunny brought harmony and discipline to the group, balancing Marley's improvisational style and Tosh's boldness. His ability to anchor the group vocally gave their early music depth and resonance. One of the earliest milestones for the Wailers was recording with Coxsone Dodd at Studio One, a legendary place for budding Jamaican musicians. Bunny's steady voice and songwriting skills started to shine in this environment. Tracks like Simmer Down began to gain traction, signaling that these young men were more than a neighborhood act. Bunny wasn't just backing up Marley, he contributed to songwriting and arrangements, making him a key part of the group's foundation. Performing together wasn't always easy. The three had different personalities and ideas, which led to occasional tension. Bunny, known for being calm and grounded, often acted as the mediator. He had a keen sense of what would work musically and what would push their sound too far, too fast. This balance helped the Wailers survive the growing pains of early fame. It also highlighted Bunny's role not just as a singer, but as the stabilizing force that kept the group on track. The group's rise wasn't overnight. They performed relentlessly, sometimes for minimal pay, but their persistence paid off. Local audiences began to recognize their unique sound, and record labels started taking notice. Bunny's contribution went beyond vocals. He understood rhythm, melody, and harmony in a way that elevated every song. His presence gave the Wailers credibility, not just as performers, but as serious musicians. By the mid-1960s, the Wailers' chemistry was undeniable. They started blending ska, rocksteady, and reggae influences into a style that was distinctly their own. Bunny's spiritual sensibilities also began to influence the group's lyrical themes, adding a depth that set them apart from other acts of the time. This combination of musical skill, personal vision, and relentless drive made the Wailers ready for international recognition. Even as the group gained momentum, Bunny remained grounded in his roots. He kept his focus on the music and the message, resisting the distractions of fame. His early role in the Wailers was not just about singing, it was about shaping a sound, a movement, and a legacy. Without Bunny's steady hand and commitment, the Wailers might have flamed out before the world ever got to hear them. The formation of the Wailers was the start of something bigger than any one member. Bunny Wailer's presence was essential, giving the group balance, harmony, and a vision that complemented the fiery energy of Marley and Tosh. Those early years laid the foundation for reggae history and cemented Bunny's place as one of the genre's unsung heroes. Rise to international fame. Once the Wailers were established, the world was about to notice. Bunny Wailer, Bob Marley, and Peter Tosh had a sound that was more than catchy. It carried heart, soul, and a message. By the late 1960s, Jamaica was ready for them, and soon, international audiences would be too. Bunny's contribution during this time went beyond harmonies. He was a songwriter, a visionary, and the quiet backbone of the group, helping shape their signature sound. Their big breakthrough came with songs that combined reggae, ska, and rocksteady, giving listeners something fresh and irresistible. Tracks like Stir It Up and Get Up, Stand Up started to turn heads beyond Jamaica. Bunny's voice added richness to the harmonies, his steady tone grounding the group's experimental edge. Without him, the Wailers' sound would have felt incomplete. He wasn't just there for backup vocals. His musical instincts shaped arrangements, songwriting, and live performances. Touring internationally became a reality in the early 1970s. The Wailers played in England, the United States, and other parts of Europe. Bunny's presence was subtle but essential. While Marley often took center stage, Bunny provided balance. He had an awareness of the bigger picture, making sure the group's performances were tight, soulful, and true to their roots. And while he might have seemed reserved off stage, Bunny was soaking in everything, learning the business, observing fans, and refining his craft. During this period, Bunny also contributed significantly to the lyrics and melodies of the group's growing catalog. Many of their most enduring songs were co-written or heavily influenced by him. His spirituality and grounded approach added a layer of depth that set the Wailers apart from other acts. While the world was mesmerized by Marley's charisma, Bunny was quietly building the foundation for reggae's global appeal. Despite their growing fame, the Wailers faced challenges. Touring was exhausting. Record labels were demanding, and the pressures of success could have splintered the group. Bunny's calm and disciplined personality helped keep the trio focused. He acted as a mediator when tensions arose between Marley and Tosh and made sure the music never suffered. His role was often invisible to the casual fan, but insiders knew that Bunny's influence was essential to the group's coherence. By the mid-1970s, the Wailers were performing at legendary venues and collaborating with international producers. Bunny's contributions were clear in the harmony layers and vocal arrangements. Albums like Catch a Fire and Burnin' demonstrated the group's range, ambition, and commitment to social messages. Bunny's voice was integral to that sound, smooth and steady, yet powerful enough to carry emotion when needed. While Marley became the global icon, Bunny Wailer's influence cannot be overstated. He helped transform reggae from a local Jamaican sound into an internationally recognized musical movement. Without Bunny's voice, songwriting, and grounding presence, the global phenomenon of reggae might have looked very different. He was the quiet strategist, the one keeping the group balanced while they captured the world's attention. Bunny's rise to international fame wasn't about the spotlight, it was about the music, the message, and the authenticity he brought to every performance. He remained true to his roots while helping take reggae far beyond Jamaica. By the time the late 1970s rolled around, Bunny Wailer was not just a member of the Wailers, he was a key architect of a global cultural shift, the steady hand behind a revolution in sound. Solo career beginnings. By the mid-1970s, Bunny Wailer had done almost everything a reggae artist could do as part of the Wailers. He had toured internationally, contributed to hits that were now global anthems, and helped shape reggae's sound. But Bunny was ready to step out on his own. His departure from the Wailers in 1974 was not a breakup fueled by drama. It was a move to explore his own musical identity and follow his spiritual path. He wanted music that reflected his beliefs, his independence, and his unique voice. Starting a solo career is never easy, even if you've been part of a legendary group. Bunny's first solo album, Blackheart Man, released in 1976, was a clear statement of intent. The record combines social commentary, Rastafarian themes, and soulful melodies. Songs like Dreamland and the title track showcased his deep, smooth vocals and lyrical depth. While Marley and Tosh were household names, Bunny used this album to remind the world that he was no sidekick. He was a visionary in his own right. Bunny's solo music had a different flavor than the Wailers' hits. It was more introspective, more spiritual, and less focused on mainstream appeal. He infused traditional reggae with roots themes and messages of resilience and faith. Critics praised his work for its authenticity and depth. Bunny's solo approach reflected a man unwilling to compromise his beliefs or artistic vision for commercial success. He wanted music that meant something, not just something that would sell. The transition to solo life also meant building a new support system. Bunny worked with new musicians and producers who shared his vision. Collaborations were carefully chosen, and he surrounded himself with people who respected his craft. His independence allowed him to experiment and grow without constraints. This creative freedom was both empowering and challenging. Bunny had to carry the full weight of his career now, but he did it with discipline and determination. Even with a strong debut, Bunny faced the realities of stepping away from a globally recognized group. Some fans initially struggled to separate his solo work from the Wailers' legacy. He wasn't immediately in the same spotlight as Marley, but he didn't mind. Bunny's goal was to make music he could be proud of, music that spoke to his heart and values. Over time, albums like Protest and Struggle cemented his reputation as a solo artist who could stand on his own. Bunny's solo career also highlighted his commitment to Rastafari. His lyrics often explored themes of spiritual awakening, social justice, and personal responsibility. This focus made his music resonate with listeners who were searching for more than just catchy tunes. Bunny wasn't chasing fame. He was delivering messages that mattered. Fans who connected with his music found a deeper, more soulful side of reggae. By the late 1970s, Bunny Wailer had established himself as a solo artist, capable of creating music that was both culturally significant and emotionally compelling. He had carved a niche that allowed him to maintain creative control and remain authentic. His solo beginnings were not about competing with his former bandmates. They were about following his own path, producing music that reflected who he truly was. Bunny Wailer's decision to go solo showed courage, vision, and an unwavering commitment to his art. He proved that leaving a legendary group did not mean fading into obscurity. Instead, it allowed him to define himself and continue shaping reggae music for years to come. Spiritual life and Rastafarian beliefs. Bunny Wailer was not just a musician. He was a spiritual man, deeply committed to Rastafarian beliefs, and this shaped everything he did. While many artists chase fame, Bunny's focus was on music that reflected his faith, principles, and connection to his roots. Rastafari was not a trend for him. It was a lifestyle, a philosophy, and a guide for his creativity. From his wardrobe to his lyrics, Bunny lived his beliefs daily, and it shows in the depth of his music. Rastafari emphasizes peace, community, and a spiritual connection to Africa. Bunny embraced these principles fully. This meant he often approached music as a form of ministry. He wasn't writing just to entertain. His songs carried messages about social justice, unity, and spiritual awareness. Tracks like Dreamland and Bide Up explored these themes, blending rhythm with conscience. Bunny's spirituality was not preachy. It was woven naturally into the music, giving listeners both a groove and a message. His commitment to Rastafari also affected his lifestyle. Bunny adhered to a diet based on natural foods, and avoided alcohol and other substances that could cloud the mind. He practiced meditation, prayer, and mindfulness, all while navigating the music industry, which often rewarded excess and compromise. His discipline and spiritual grounding set him apart from other artists chasing commercial success. Bunny demonstrated that you could be spiritual and still create music that resonates worldwide. Bunny's faith sometimes created tension with record labels and the expectations of the mainstream music industry. He refused to compromise his beliefs for mass appeal. While Marley occasionally adapted his music for broader audiences, Bunny maintained a purist approach. Some industry figures didn't understand this, but Bunny knew that authenticity mattered more than chart rankings. This sometimes meant slower career growth or fewer commercial hits, but he was unwavering in his principles. Rastafari also influenced his performance style. Bunny often used music as a ritual, creating a space for reflection and celebration simultaneously. His voice carried the weight of both message and melody. He blended traditional Jamaican rhythms with spiritual chants, connecting listeners not only to the beat, but to a deeper sense of purpose. Fans often remarked that listening to Bunny was like attending a spiritual gathering, where the music moved both body and soul. His spiritual path also informed his interactions with other musicians. Bunny chose collaborators who respected his values. He avoided situations that could compromise his integrity. Even when touring internationally, he stayed true to his principles, living simply, dressing modestly, and refusing to partake in industry excesses. This discipline reinforced his image as both a musician and a spiritual leader in reggae. By intertwining Rastafarian beliefs with music, Bunny Wailer created a legacy that transcended commercial success. His songs were more than entertainment. They were lessons, reflections, and calls for spiritual awareness. Bunny's spirituality shaped his identity, influenced his art, and left a lasting imprint on reggae music. His dedication showed that staying true to your values is possible, even under the pressure of global fame. Bunny Wailer's life demonstrates that music and spirituality are not separate paths. For him, they were inseparable. He walked a line between artistry and faith, crafting songs that continue to inspire, uplift, and educate. His commitment to Rastafari ensured that his music will always carry meaning, rhythm, and purpose. Challenges and controversies. Even legends face challenges, and Bunny Wailer was no exception. Despite his talent, spirituality, and role in shaping reggae, his career had hurdles that tested his patience and determination. One of the earliest challenges came from within the Wailers themselves. Creative differences with Bob Marley and Peter Tosh were inevitable. Bunny had a strong vision for music that reflected Rastafarian principles, and that sometimes clashed with the commercial ambitions of others in the group. He wasn't the type to compromise, which earned him respect and occasional tension. After leaving the Wailers to pursue a solo career, Bunny faced the realities of the music industry. Going solo meant carrying the full weight of production, promotion, and touring on his own. Labels often pushed him to adapt his music to fit commercial standards, but Bunny resisted. He stayed true to his roots, which sometimes resulted in slower mainstream recognition, compared to Marley's skyrocketing fame. Fans loved his music, but mass audiences were not always ready for the depth and spirituality he offered. Health issues also presented obstacles. Bunny was not immune to the pressures of touring, recording, and constant travel. The rigorous schedule often took a toll on his body, and he had to carefully manage his energy. While he remained active into his later years, Bunny sometimes had to step back to focus on recovery and well-being. This discipline reflected his spiritual commitment, as he balanced music and self-care in a way that prioritized long-term sustainability over quick fame. Controversies sometimes arose around his financial and contractual dealings. Like many artists navigating international music markets, Bunny occasionally faced disputes with record labels and managers. These conflicts often revolved around royalties, rights, and creative control. Bunny was known for standing his ground, even when it meant prolonged negotiations or friction with industry professionals. His insistence on fair treatment reinforced his image as an artist unwilling to compromise his principles for money or fame. Despite these challenges, Bunny remained focused on his mission, making authentic music. Fans and fellow musicians respected him for his unwavering commitment to integrity. Even in moments of tension or difficulty, Bunny's humor, wisdom, and calm demeanor helped him navigate challenges with dignity. He had a knack for turning setbacks into lessons, often reflecting on them in interviews and songs, which added depth to his artistry. Political and social tensions in Jamaica also influenced Bunny's career. The country in the 1970s and 1980s was turbulent, with conflicts that affected musicians directly. Touring and performing sometimes required careful navigation of these realities. Bunny's music often addressed social justice issues, which could be provocative in certain circles. His willingness to speak out through song showcased courage and a refusal to compromise his values, even when it invited controversy. Even with all these obstacles, Bunny Wailer continued to create music that mattered. He faced creative disputes, industry challenges, health concerns, and social pressures head-on. Each challenge shaped him, reinforced his integrity, and strengthened his music. Bunny's ability to navigate adversity while remaining true to himself solidified his legacy as more than just a musician. He was a spiritual and cultural force who refused to bend for anyone, leaving behind a body of work that resonates with authenticity, courage, and soul. Later years and legacy. As Bunny Wailer moved into the later stages of his career, he continued to prove that true talent does not fade with age. Even after decades in the music industry, he remained committed to producing music that was meaningful, authentic, and spiritually grounded. While many artists slow down or cash in on past hits, Bunny stayed active in creating new work, collaborating with fellow musicians, and performing whenever possible. His dedication was a testament to his love for music and the culture he helped shape. One of the defining features of Bunny's later years was his focus on preservation. He wanted to make sure reggae's roots were respected, and remembered albums like Rule Dance Hall and Time Will Tell reflected his continued commitment to socially conscious lyrics and classic reggae rhythms. Bunny understood that music was more than entertainment. It was education, history, and a call for reflection. Even fans who discovered him later in life found that his work carried the same depth and soul as his early recordings. Recognition and awards came more consistently in his later years, though Bunny rarely sought the spotlight. He received multiple Grammy Awards for Best Reggae Album, acknowledging both his talent and his lasting impact on the genre. These accolades were important, not because Bunny needed validation, but because they cemented his role as one of reggae's most influential voices. He was celebrated by the music community and respected by younger artists, who saw him as a guiding figure. Bunny's influence extended beyond the studio and stage. He served as a mentor for younger musicians, encouraging them to respect the roots of reggae while exploring their own creative voices. His guidance was practical and philosophical. He taught discipline, persistence, and the importance of staying true to one's beliefs. Many artists credit Bunny with inspiring them to balance commercial success with authenticity, a lesson that continues to shape reggae today. Even in his later years, Bunny stayed connected to his community and spiritual practice. He remained deeply rooted in Rastafari, participating in ceremonies, meditations, and cultural events. His life demonstrated that creativity and spirituality could coexist and even enhance one another. For Bunny, music was not just about fame or fortune. It was about contributing something lasting, something that could teach, uplift, and move people decades after the first note was played. While Bob Marley became the most recognizable face of reggae internationally, Bunny Wailer's legacy is no less important. He was the steady hand, the thoughtful mind, and the soulful voice that shaped the genre. His career serves as a reminder that influence is not always measured by fame alone. Bunny Wailer's impact can be heard in modern reggae, hip-hop, and even pop music, where his grooves, harmonies, and lyrical depth continue to inspire artists worldwide. As he aged, Bunny remained humble, disciplined, and focused. He understood the fleeting nature of life and the permanence of music. This perspective informed his later works, giving them a reflective, profound quality. Fans remember him not only for the music, but for the integrity, wisdom, and spiritual grounding he carried into every project. Bunny Wailer's later years reinforced the idea that a life lived with purpose, discipline, and authenticity leaves a lasting mark. His music, mentorship, and unwavering principles ensured that his legacy would endure, influencing generations of musicians and fans. Even now, long after his prime, Bunny Wailer's presence is felt in every note of reggae music and in the hearts of those who value truth in art. Death and public memory. Bunny Wailer passed away on March 2nd, 2021, at the age of 73, leaving the music world and fans around the globe in mourning. His death marked the end of an era, but it also sparked reflection on a life dedicated to music, spirituality, and cultural influence. While Bob Marley's name might dominate headlines, Bunny's legacy is no less profound. He shaped reggae, mentored artists, and stood as a symbol of integrity in an industry often driven by trends. His passing reminded everyone of the quiet power he held as a musician and cultural figure. News of Bunny's death circulated quickly, with tributes pouring in from fans, musicians, and public figures. Social media was flooded with memories of his songs, videos of performances, and heartfelt messages highlighting his impact. Fans reflected on how his music had shaped their understanding of reggae, social consciousness, and spiritual awareness. Even casual listeners acknowledged his role as one of the foundational pillars of the Wailers and as a solo artist who consistently produced authentic work. Public memory of Bunny Wailer is shaped not only by his recordings, but by the man himself. He was known for being humble, disciplined, and deeply committed to his principles. Unlike some of his contemporaries, he did not chase fame for fame's sake. Bunny's music was an extension of his character, thoughtful, meaningful, and grounded in authenticity. These qualities contributed to a legacy that continues to influence reggae music and inspire fans worldwide. One of the reasons Bunny Wailer may not have become as internationally famous as Marley is because he chose to prioritize his values over commercial success. He did not compromise his spiritual beliefs, his lyrics, or his lifestyle to fit mainstream expectations. While this meant he sometimes remained in the shadow of his more famous bandmates, it also ensured that his work retained purity and integrity. In a way, Bunny's legacy is a reminder that fame is not the only measure of impact. Quality, influence, and authenticity can resonate long after the charts have forgotten a song. Tributes from fellow musicians emphasized Bunny's role as a mentor and a stabilizing force in reggae history. Many spoke about his generosity, his commitment to collaboration, and his ability to bring out the best in others. His influence stretches beyond reggae into other musical genres, where artists have sampled his tracks, incorporated his style, or credited him as inspiration. Bunny's reach was global, even if he preferred to remain true to his personal path. Fans continue to celebrate his music through festivals, tribute albums, and performances, keeping his spirit alive. Songs like Bide Up and Dreamland are played regularly, reminding listeners of the soul and heart that Bunny infused into every track. His death may have silenced his voice physically, but it amplified the impact of his music, showing that true artistry transcends mortality. Bunny Wailer's passing reinforced the idea that legacy is about more than headlines. It is about consistency, integrity, and the lasting impression of a life lived with purpose. For those who love reggae, he is a symbol of what it means to stay grounded, stay authentic, and create work that matters. His. So, what the hell happened to Bunny Wailer? He lived a life on his own terms, made music with heart, and stayed true to his beliefs while shaping reggae history. Fame wasn't the goal. Authenticity was. From Kingston Streets to Grammy-winning solo albums, Bunny left a legacy that refuses to fade. Next time you hear a Wailers track or his solo classics, remember the quiet force behind the harmonies, the spiritual backbone, and the relentless creative mind Bunny Wailer may be gone.